The Western Conference Finals between the Oklahoma City Thunder and San Antonio Spurs is delivering more than just playoff basketball for the Golden State Warriors. It is serving as a clear and direct reminder of what this franchise is still missing and what must change this offseason if the team wants to compete at the highest level again. Hey, what's up, everyone? Before we jump into everything today, that like button right there is what decides if this video hits hundreds or thousands of people. 1 second is all it takes, but the impact on this channel is massive. Go ahead and hit that like button right now. Seriously, it's the simplest thing you can do, and honestly, the best way to back this content up, because every single like pushes us further. So hit it now. Both the Thunder and the Spurs have star big men over 7 feet tall. Oklahoma City has Chet Holmgren, and San Antonio has Victor Wembanyama, arguably the most gifted young center in the game today. The Warriors, for their part, had a potential answer in Kristaps Porzingis, whom the team is expected to re-sign. Porzingis may not be on the same tier as Holmgren or Wembanyama, but he gives Golden State a legitimate and mobile 7-footer to build around in the front court. Both teams also have elite scoring guards. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander leads Oklahoma City and is one of the top 2 or 3 players in the NBA. De'Aaron Fox runs the show for San Antonio after his trade from Sacramento. The Warriors, of course, have Stephen Curry, still among the best offensive weapons in basketball and the unquestioned leader of everything Golden State does on that end of the floor. So far, so good for the Warriors when it comes to matching up with the conference's best teams on paper. But that is roughly where the comparisons end, and where Golden State's deficiencies become impossible to ignore. The most striking difference between the Warriors and the 2 remaining Western Conference teams is a collection of two-way guards and wings who could defend at a high level while contributing offensively. Look at the rosters of the Thunder and Spurs, and the pattern becomes obvious. They have multiple players between 6'3" and 6'6" who are capable on-ball defenders, solid three-point shooters or dangerous slashers, and athletic enough to stay in front of the league's best perimeter players. Oklahoma City's Alex Caruso and Cason Wallace each post a defensive estimated plus-minus above plus 3, among the best marks in the league at their positions. A.J. Mitchell, Lou Dort, and Jalen Williams add more defensive muscle. San Antonio counters with Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, Dylan Harper, and Julian Champagny, all capable of guarding at the wing level and contributing offensively without being liabilities. What these players share is not elite size. Most of them stand between 6'3" and 6'6". What they share is the ability to defend one-on-one, handle screens, and rotate quickly in a modern NBA scheme where post-up play has largely faded. This reality carries a direct message for Warriors general manager Mike Dunleavy Jr. as he approaches draft night and free agency. For years, the conversation around Golden State's roster needs has centered on positional size. The idea that the Warriors need taller, longer wings to compete against physical opponents. While size still matters, the Thunder-Spurs series is showing that two-way ability matters more than raw height at the 3 and 4 positions. A 6'4" player who defends, shoots, and slashes efficiently is more valuable than a 6'8" player who has not proven he can guard in the open court. On the current Warriors roster, the picture is thin. Moses Moody is one of the few players who qualifies as a genuine two-way contributor to the wing, but he is expected to miss a significant portion of next season due to a knee injury. Jimmy Butler also fits the two-way profile, and he too is dealing with a knee issue that could keep him out for half the year. Beyond those two, the roster lacks players who can guard dynamic perimeter threats and contribute offensively in meaningful ways. Gary Payton, too, remains a valuable on-ball defender, but his offensive limitations, poor shooting and limited ball handling, make him replaceable rather than irreplaceable. DeAnthony Melton holds a player option and brings defensive value, but his three-point shooting fell significantly this past season, and he was exposed when asked to create offense in isolation situations. The Warriors need to add at least 2 legitimate two-way players this summer. Whether that comes through the draft, free agency, or trades, the formula is clear. Golden State needs wings and guards who can defend their position, move without the ball, space the floor, and contribute as secondary ball handlers alongside Curry. The Phoenix Suns' Jordan Goodwin is one free agent name that fits the mold. A 27-year-old with plus on-ball defense, good rebounding for his position, and the physicality to compete in playoff minutes. If Moody and Butler return healthy in 2026 to 27 and the two new additions are productive, the Warriors could put together a genuinely competitive defensive group around Curry and Porzingis. The Thunder and Spurs are not just playing for a finals berth. They are showing Golden State exactly what it needs to build toward. The 2026 NBA draft combine has come and gone, and it left behind a reshuffled prospect landscape. Several players boosted their stock with strong athletic testing and measurements, which changes the math for teams picking in the lottery, including the Golden State Warriors, who hold the 11th selection. In a new mock draft scenario that accounts for the Combine's biggest movers, Golden State lands a player who fits their system exceptionally well, even if his name does not always appear at the top of national rankings. The key variable in this updated mock is the fate of two players who were previously tied to Golden State in earlier projections, Michigan center Aday Mara and Michigan forward Yaxel Lendeborg. In this scenario, both of them are selected in the top 10, taken off the board before the Warriors ever step to the podium. That changes everything for Golden State's decision at pick 11. Here's how the first 10 picks play out in this mock. Washington takes BYU wing A.J. Dybantsa first overall, a widely expected choice given his elite scoring ability and length. Utah selects Kansas guard Darren Peterson second. Memphis goes with North Carolina forward Caleb Wilson at third. Chicago takes Duke big man Cam Boozer fourth. The Clippers add Illinois guard Keaton Wagler fifth. Brooklyn takes Mara sixth. Sacramento picks Arkansas point guard Darius Akov Jr. seventh. Atlanta selects Houston point guard Kingston Flemings 8th. Dallas takes Louisville guard Mikael Brown Jr. 9th. And Milwaukee closes out the top 10 by selecting Lendeborg. With Mara and Lendeborg gone, two prospects who are also expected to potentially slide out of the top 10 are now available for Golden State. Alabama guard LeBaron Philin Jr. and Arizona guard Braden Burries. Both have been identified as potential fits for the Warriors. In this scenario, Golden State selects Burries with the 11th pick. The choice is not automatic. This decision could realistically come down to four players: Burries, Philin, Baylor shooting guard Cameron Carr, or New Zealand Breakers wing Kareem Lopez. Each brings something different to the table, and each has a legitimate argument for being the pick. Philin is the most advanced offensive creator of the four. His ability to handle the ball and generate his own shot makes him an intriguing piece for any team. However, he is the smallest and lightest of the group, which raises questions about his ability to hold up defensively against physical NBA guards and wings night after night. Carr stands about an inch taller than Burries and is arguably the better athlete, but he is not as polished as a shooter or ball handler. His ceiling could be higher, but his floor may also be lower given his less refined skill set coming out of college. Lopez presents a compelling case because of his positional size. He measured 6 foot 8.25 inches at the Combine, which would immediately address Golden State's need for wing length. But he is the most raw of the four options, carrying the steepest development curve and offering the fewest guarantees about near-term contributions. That brings the discussion back to Burries. The Arizona product measured 6 foot 3.75 inches at the Combine. Not ideal in terms of positional size conversation, but he weighs 215 pounds. Which gives him the physical foundation to compete defensively without being pushed around. In his lone season at Arizona, Burries averaged 1.5 steals per game, a number that reflects active hands and genuine defensive instincts rather than simply gambling for turnovers. He shot 49.1% from the field and 39.1% from three-point range, shot the ball efficiently from multiple levels, handled ball screen situations competently, and showed an advanced feel for playing off the ball, a skill that translates directly into Steve Kerr's read and react offensive system. Perhaps most importantly, Burries is 20 years old and ready to contribute immediately. The Warriors do not have the luxury of patience at this stage of their roster construction. They need players who can step in and be useful, not projects who require 2 or 3 seasons of development before they provide real value. The fit alongside Stephen Curry is particularly attractive. Burries can handle the ball to allow Curry to play off it, then immediately flip the script and spot up for an open three on the next possession when a Curry drive draws the defense. That kind of positional and conceptual flexibility is exactly what Steve Kerr prizes. Burries has enough size to guard most NBA small forwards, and his collegiate track record suggests he can develop into a plus defender at the next level. It is also worth noting that Kerr and Dunleavy have signaled publicly that the organization wants someone who can contribute right away with wing skills, an immediate role player rather than a long-term project. Burries checks that box. His combination of shooting efficiency, defensive activity, and readiness to play in a structured offense gives him a realistic path to meaningful minutes as a rookie. The Warriors have too much on the line, with Curry still elite and the team needing a competitive resurgence, to gamble on raw upside alone. Landing Burries at pick 11 would be considered a genuine win for Golden State. The Golden State Warriors enter draft night holding one first-round pick, the 11th selection overall. That single pick could be used as drafted, traded for a veteran, or leveraged into something more ambitious. According to analysis from Sports Illustrated's Warriors beat, the most productive path available to general manager Mike Dunleavy Jr. is to use that pick to acquire 2 first-round selections in the 2026 draft, addressing the team's 2 most pressing roster needs simultaneously. Trading the 11th pick outright for an established veteran star has been floated as an option, but that approach conflicts with the stated direction of the franchise. Both Dunleavy and head coach Steve Kerr have indicated publicly that Golden State's priority is to get younger and build a roster that can compete for multiple seasons rather than make a short-term splash. Trading up into the top 5 or 6 picks is another theoretical option, but the price and future draft capital would be steep, and the team would still walk away with only one new player. The smarter play, according to this analysis, is finding a partner willing to consolidate picks and give Golden State 2 first-rounders from this class. 2 teams stand out as realistic trade partners, the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Charlotte Hornets. The Thunder hold picks 12 and 17 in the 2026 draft. The Hornets hold picks 14 and 18. Both organizations already project to have multiple first-round picks in 2027, which means they may not want complexity of developing 2 rookies simultaneously next season. That creates leverage for Golden State, which could offer its 11th pick along with a future protected first-rounder in exchange for each team's pair of selections. 3 specific trade ideas have been outlined. In the first scenario, the Warriors send the 11th pick and a lottery-protected 2028 first-round pick to Charlotte in exchange for picks 14 and 18. The Hornets are already stacked with future assets and could prefer to move up 1 spot, while adding a future pick rather than hold 2 mid-lottery selections in the same class. The second scenario involved the Thunder, who would receive the 11th pick and a top 12 protected 2028 first-rounder from Golden State in return for picks 12 and 17. The protection is slightly looser than in the Hornets deal because the package Oklahoma City would be getting is marginally better. The 11th and 12th are consecutive picks, and the 17th adds a second useful selection late in the first round. The third scenario is smaller in scope, but still meaningful. Golden State sends a lottery-protected 2028 first to Oklahoma City solely in exchange for pick 17. This would not give the Warriors a top 14 selection, but adds a second first-round pick to class without moving the 11th. It's a lower-cost option that still expands Golden State's ability to address multiple needs in one night. If the Warriors acquire 2 first-round picks, the strategy for using them depends on which prospect they land first. The target list at pick 11, 12, or 14 would likely focus on Alabama guard LeBaron Philin Jr. or Michigan forward Yaxel Lendeborg, 2 players who represent very different profiles. Philin is an advanced offensive creator at the guard position, capable of generating his own shot and operating in pick-and-roll situations. Lendeborg is a longer, more versatile big who can stretch the floor and protect the rim. If Golden State lands Philin with the higher pick, the focus of their second selection should shift to the wing. In that case, targets like Baylor's Cameron Carr or New Zealand Breakers forward Kareem Lopez will be in play at pick 17 or 18, with Dalen Swain as a fallback option if both are gone. If instead the Warriors secure Lendeborg, Carr, or Lopez with a higher selection, then the second pick should go toward a backup point guard capable of running the offense when Curry rests. Names like Ibuka Okri, Christian Anderson, and Bennett Sturts have been mentioned as realistic options in that range. While adding a center is not out of the question, Dunleavy has enough depth at the big man position with Porzingis in the fold that wing and backup point guard remain the most urgent gaps to address. In what analysts are calling one of the stronger draft classes in recent years, Walking away from draft night with 2 first-round rookies, one a wing, one a guard, could provide the Warriors with exactly the two-way reinforcements this roster needs heading into the 2026 to 27 season. The broader picture here is that the Warriors cannot afford another offseason of standing pat while the rest of the Western Conference gets younger and more athletic. Oklahoma City and San Antonio have already demonstrated what a roster built around two-way versatility looks like. Golden State has the franchise cornerstone in Stephen Curry and the frontcourt anchor in Porzingis. What it lacks are the supporting players in the 6'3" to 6'6" range who can defend, create off the ball, and make life easier for the star. 2 first-round picks in a quality draft class is perhaps the single best way to accelerate that process without sacrificing the team's long-term flexibility. The 2026 draft could define the next chapter of the Warriors' competitive window, and Dunleavy's decisions on draft night will go a long way towards shaping that future.